right, welcome to the next episode of Untranslatable. And today we're going to tackle career letters, work-life balance. And I think this is going to be interesting because I have a couple strong opinions on work-life balance in America, as I have had my fair share of experience too.
Yeah. And it's very different in my experience.
Yes.
I'm really excited to get into this.
I want to talk about sick leave. I want to talk about PTO, vacation stuff in general. Yeah. Where do you want to start?
We should just start with paid time off. Let's start there. Vacation time. And probably, I would say the minimums you guys offer. And I would say that the times of the year in which people take them is also kind of interesting. So we should get into that.
All right, and I'm going to start and say, I think for a 5-day week, the bare minimum, legal minimum is 20 days a year of paid time off.
Okay.
You guys have a legal minimum?
Not that I know of. My first, what I'll call adult job, my first career job was an accrual system. So I had 0 days of vacation for my first 12 months of employment.
Oh, what do you do?
Don't get sick and don't go on a vacation. It's common also for people to take unpaid time, which is actually typically very frowned upon by an employer. They say, hey, you can't do that. We need you here. And you're like, well, I have no days off, so what do you want me to do? They're like, yeah, exactly. You don't have any days off. Why are you taking days off? So it gets really common to what we say, call in sick. So you just say, I'm not feeling well, I'm not coming in today, when really you're on a vacation or somewhere else.
Oh, wow. That's insane. Yeah. Sick leave in Germany is a whole different topic because if you're sick, that does not go against my paid time off.
And how much do you get of that? Is there a limit or?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's an actual legal limit, but you can be sick for a couple of weeks and be all right.
Really?
Yes.
Do you need a doctor's note for something like that? Or okay.
Usually an employer can decide if they want like a doctor's note from the first day, or I think it's legally mandatory from the third day on.
Okay. So if I'm sick 2 days, most places will say, okay, stay home, rest. And then the third day, I either go back to work or I go to the doctor and the doctor writes me an absence sheet or.
Yeah. I usually always go to the doctor just because, like, if I'm just sick for 1 or 2 days, I don't want my employer to be like, oh, she's just taking time off or something.
Right.
I always get a doctor's note, but technically, yeah.
That also kind of encroaches on the subject from the last episode of health insurance. Like we have deductibles. So if I want to even go to the doctor to get a sick note, it's going to cost me like, I don't know, $100.
Some doctors have actually said they want to do that too in Germany because some people just go to the doctors so often. We have that for like pharmaceuticals or if I go to the pharmacy. But now at this point, we got to like split between, I'd say, government insurance or state insurance, health insurance, and like private insurance.
Okay.
So if we go into this whole topic of health insurance, basically for me, and I think most people in Germany are like state insured or like publicly insured.
Yeah, we'll say the common person.
Yeah, like we say gesetzlich versichert, which is like legal law, whatever. And then there's private. Usually teachers are privately insured. People earning a certain amount of money are privately insured if they choose to do so.
Strictly health insurance in this regard?
Yeah, strictly health insurance. Just because usually private health insurance is better in Germany than the state insurance.
Okay. And that means then what? If I'm publicly insured, I go to the doctor for free and they say, here's a note, here's a prescription for some medicine.
Basically, all of us have a card. I think by now private insurances also have a card.
Okay.
I wouldn't know. Sorry, I'm not privately insured. But I have a little card, and every time I go to the doctor, they're like, okay, put your card in, stick like a credit card, basically, and then everything goes onto the card. Okay. I never get a doctor's bill unless I choose to have a private something. And these days, that's actually new. they also put like the prescription on the card. So I'll be like, okay, you're sick, blah, blah. You've been here. I've already put your prescription on the card. Just hand it in to the pharmacy. Like, then I walk to the pharmacy and I'm like, hey, there should be a prescription on this. And they're like, okay, here, send it. And usually for stuff I get at the pharmacy, if it's from my prescription, I pay €5 by myself.
Okay.
And that's my whole doctor's visit. Like, I'm sick, I go there, I get my prescription, I pay $5, and then I go home and hopefully get healthy soon again.
Imagine in the US, you pay a $100, what we'll call copay or deductible.
We have that for our car insurances.
Yeah. So you pay this copay to go to the doctor, and on top of it, you're taking unpaid time off. So like you're losing money not being at work, because it's some places offer sick days. I've heard of, I think teachers in specific, they have an interesting vacation structure. I'm not a teacher, I don't know. But basically they can miss a certain amount of days throughout the school year if they're sick because they do get those like June, July, August times off during the summer. So I think their vacation is very limited during the year, but they do have a permissible amount of days they can miss. When I was an hourly employee, so we have salaried employees and hourly employees.
Oh, we can get into over hours as well.
That's a great point. When I was hourly, I would have PTO, so vacation time.
Hourly means you're going there and you get paid by the hour.
Yeah, so let's say I make $10 per hour. That means every hour I work, I get $10 pre-tax. And it's tracked. So you clock in when you start the day, you clock out when you leave for the day. And then you would have to put in vacation time. And you would also, if you had sick days, put them in. So the company I used to work for, they would have my vacation time as one package and then sick time as another package. So I did get, I think, 3 days per year of sick time or something. So I had my 2 weeks of vacation at that point and then 3 extra days for what we called personal days. So whether it was I needed to go to the dentist or I needed to go to the doctor or I was sick, you basically deduct from those hours missed from work.
All right, that's tough.
Yeah. And then as a salaried employee, it widely varies company to company. But typically you'll have a set amount of vacation, say 2 weeks. And then they don't track your hours. Some companies do. And then you're just paid by the week. Whether you work 40 hours or 60 hours, you get the same pay. You're kind of paid, or I guess by the year. And they convert that however they do. And then you kind of have your vacation time that you put in for, it gets approved, and then it deducts from your bank.
Yeah, that's funny. Because if I get sick and I'm gone for 2 weeks, my employer will say, oh man, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because I will still get my full pay. Of course, at this point, I need a doctor's note of the doctor saying I'm sick for whatever. My employer will not know what I'm sick for, by the way, though.
Really?
He will just know, okay, a doctor said she's sick for 2 weeks. I'll get paid, and afterwards I hopefully return. Technically, I think I could do that for an unlimited amount of time. At some point, your employer might say something, though.
I think we have something similar. We've got something, I believe, it's been a while, called HIPAA, HIPPA, which is basically the employer can't ask why you're sick or why you're missing work. I could have that mixed up, but basically it's like, hey, I'm ill.
Yeah.
And you either take it
I call in
unpaid or
sick.
use vacation, and they can't say, well, what's going on? Do you have does your head hurt? Like they can't ask questions. But I think at a certain point there is like a legal thing, like for truancy, basically. You've missed 3 weeks of work. Something has to give.
Yeah.
We have to understand, is this a disability issue, a short-term disability, like you broke your leg and now you can't walk? So, there's legal things that go into it.
Yeah, and depending on for how long I'm sick, for 6 weeks, my employer will pay me like normal. Afterwards, my health insurance will jump in because my employer is like, hey, she's not been working for 6 weeks. Why am I paying?
Yeah.
Then my
not earning
health,
money.
then my health insurance will jump in and not pay my full pay, but a certain percentage of it. I've never gotten to that point though.
Yeah.
But then basically, as far as I know, that can go on for quite a while.
Okay. And you said the minimum for you guys is like 4 weeks or something, or what did you say the minimum was?
Vacation?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the legal minimum for a 5-day week is 20, and I think for a 6-day week, which is not common, it's 25.
Okay.
But 20 is the legal minimum for a normal work week.
Yeah. After working here for a little while, I found like basically from the day you start,
Mm-hmm.
you get 30 days is really common from what I understand,
Mm.
6 weeks. And the interesting thing about that is I've seen companies shut down like in August.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the big vacation time for families here.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say, "Hey, we're shutting down our factory.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone must use vacation time for these 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It's not free, but we are going to deduct from that 30 days, and you'll still have 20 remaining days to use how you would like." Or during the Christmas season, holiday season, end of the year, they also shut down for an amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then people are forced to take a
Yes.
vacation.
That happens.
Okay.
But I think in Germany, actually, your employer can like pre-plan 3/5 of your vacation.
Okay.
So you can do the math. But I think it's a lot.
Yeah, that seems high.
Like, while 20 is the legal minimum, 30 is more like the baseline.
Mm-hmm.
If a company doesn't offer you 30 days, it's like, you're like, yeah, why? Why wouldn't you do that? 30 days is like, you almost get that everywhere
Okay.
in a normal job. So if you have your 30 days of vacation, your employer can legally pre-plan 18 days of the 30 for you.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Fortunately, like, I never had that. I work
Mhm.
an office job, but like, it's common, like you said, for factories or something. They're like Christmas break for a week or summer break for 2 weeks or something. That's like, okay, you have to take vacation here.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? If
Mhm.
you're a factory and your measurables are output and you have 20% of your people working because everyone's gone anyway,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make sense to pay the electricity. It doesn't
Yeah.
make sense to pay people to come in and produce a small amount anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, shut it down. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially when it's so common to go on vacation in certain times. As far as I'm aware, in America, I guess it's sort of similar. People do vacation more in the summer because the weather is better in
Mhm.
most of the country. And kids are out of school as well. We
Mhm.
have basically 3 months of school break across the board. So people tend to use that time to spend with their families. But when I was a kid, we went on a vacation once in October. My parents just took me out of school for a week. So I think it's more common, like based on price, to be honest,
That's illegal in Germany to take your kids out of school for the stuff like that.
for vacation.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know why? Or
They want kids to go to school.
yeah, we have that too, but we do have a permissible amount of days. Like
Not sure.
that's really interesting.
I think it's illegal.
We had it in the US where you can either get all of your material before or after the vacation,
Mm.
or if you were sick from school, this is also probably funny to you guys, is if I was sick for a week, like really, really sick from school, the next week when I came to school, I would have all of my homework on my desk waiting for me.
Oh.
So each teacher would say, "Here's what you missed. This is due on Friday."
Oh.
And you have to do all of the work you missed still.
No, I don't think we would do that.
Interesting.
My school time has been a while back, so.
Yeah, mine too. But it's crazy to see 30 days be the norm because I had it where I had to accrue vacation and they reward staying at a company a lot in the US. So I had a company I worked for where I started with 0. After a year, I got 5 days or 1 week. After 2 years, I got 2 weeks. And then once I hit 5 years, I got 3 weeks. And to me, like, it didn't even seem like a bad deal because I've heard of worse. And I've also had it where I've worked at jobs where the day I started, I get 2 weeks. And then after 10 years, I go up to 3 weeks with that same company. So I know it's kind of based upon your age and how much accruals you have. And you can also negotiate vacation. Some companies will say, "Hey, we'll give you a week right off the bat." And then people will say during the interview before they're hired, Well, I've had 30 years at my last company. I'm an established professional. They're giving me 3 weeks. Would you include 3 weeks when I start?
3 weeks is nothing.
And that took 30 years to build up. So it really depends. There are companies that offer 4 weeks, 5 weeks. That's becoming more common now. There's remote work ability is coming more common now. So, obviously if you're on vacation, you don't want to work. And that's a big difference in work-life balance. But there is some like, hey, I've got family in California.
Yeah,
My aunt is sick.
for sure.
I can't afford to take time off. Can I work remotely if you have an office job and you're able to? And then it's at the discretion of your company, basically.
Yeah, I just remember when I was talking to you about my Japan travel and I was like, oh, I'd love to go again, like 2 weeks at least, potentially 3. And you were like, what?
Yeah. How could you go for 3 weeks on a vacation?
Yeah, I mean, for 3 weeks, that's 15 days of vacation. From my 30, that's a lot gone already. But if it's a big, big trip planned,
I would say for the average American, that's all of,
yeah,
if not more than, or most of your vacation.
that's crazy.
I think in an established career, most people are probably in the 3 to 4 week range, if I had to guess, of time off. And I couldn't imagine blowing my whole year's worth of vacation on one trip.
That's, yeah.
And I think this kind of gets into the discussion of travel. Like a lot of US citizens don't have a passport and people are like, why? Well, if I go to Europe, it takes me a day to get there. Basically, I lose a day coming there. I'm jet lagged. I basically have 4 healthy days of getting around, sightseeing, doing things. And then I have to fly all the way back, readjust to the time zone, spend all that money because I can really only spare a week here and there. Because if my kids are sick, I have to use vacation to get them out of school, take them to the doctor.
This is the funniest thing because I don't have kids, so I don't know exactly how it works. But
Yeah.
if you have a kid, you get additional kid sick days.
Really?
Yeah, which is like I said, I don't have any idea about how this works, but it's another couple of days a year that you get for when your kid is sick.
My parents would be like, I can't afford to take another day off work for you. I don't have vacation time left. You have to go to school today. Like, sick as all can be.
Welcome to the system.
Yeah, kids go to school. Now, there was a threshold where once I was like, I think 12, they would let me stay home alone if I was sick. But if I was, a child, I
Yeah.
guess 5 to 10 years old,
Yeah,
I
sure.
can't really take care of myself. They would have to stay home. So it was basically, does my middle class family decide to lose pay for a day because I'm sick or send me to school?
It's insane.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh boy. Yeah, I mean, for me, the funniest thing is that, like I said, I have 30 days of vacation, which is really common.
Yeah.
And I'm working with an American team. And the first time my American boss basically talked to me and was like, yeah, lady, you still got like 30 days of vacation. And now we're getting towards the over hours, right? And you know how it works in Germany, right? I have my 40 hours a week that I have to work. And depends on your employer, but if I work more, I can take those hours another day. So if I accumulate 8 hours of overtime basically throughout 1 or 2 weeks or whatever, I can talk to my boss and take that 8 hours another day, which is like a day off.
Can you bank those and save them? Or how do you ever get overtime pay? How does that work?
Some employers will limit your over hours basically and be like, hey, you can't build more than X amount of over hours.
Say 50 over hours in a year?
Yeah, sometimes like if some economic state of the company is not great, they will lower the amount of over hours you can have. For example, be like, hey, you can have a maximum of 20 over hours, which is less than 3 days. Because like if the company is not doing well and you leave as an employee, you're gone. Like if you have vacation and like 4 weeks of over hours, which some people do have, people are just gone out of nothing, even if the notice period is a longer time, which we can talk about later too.
Yeah. I know I met somebody, they were telling me, yeah, I'm going to do a tour of Asia. I'll be gone for, I think it was 8 weeks. They said, I'm doing it next year because it was the end of the year. And they said, yeah, I have 200 over hours and I have all of my vacation time. So like, that's 5 weeks of over hours, over 40 hours a week. And they're like, yeah, my company just lets me take it. So I'm going to go to Japan and then I'm going to go to Thailand and then Beijing and then I'll go to South Korea.
Wherever, yeah.
And just kind of hop around. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, I'll just use a month of my over hours and then I'll use a month of vacation. So I'll still have 2 weeks left. And then I'll accrue more over hours during the year. So it's no problem. I'm like, what do you mean? You're working 7 months of the year, 6 months of the year?
It depends on where you work. Some employers will let that happen, some won't. But yeah, so back to my example where I have my 30 days of vacation and my couple over hours. I think at the time I had like 80 over hours, which is 2 weeks work time. And then my boss was like, all right, so now you're working with Americans. I can't tell them you have 30 days of vacation and 2 more weeks over hours. What do we do? And basically he was like, okay, you're getting those hours paid off or paid out.
And how does the payout work then?
It's just added to my pay of the month, basically.
So if you make $10 per hour, let's say you're an hourly paid employee and you have 40 over hours, do you get 400 extra euros or?
But like it's tax and stuff. So, but for the month it will be added to mine.
Okay. For us, if we work over 40 hours a week, every hour after 40, and some people do it per pay period. So I believe you guys get paid per month typically. We get paid weekly every 2 weeks. I know people that get paid on the 15th and the 30th of every month. So it really depends on your company. But if your pay period is 80 hours, it's any hour over 80 in a 2 week period. You then get 1.5 times your pay. So let's say I work 100 hours in a 2 week period. I have 20 hours that I earn at 1.5x pay. So I basically get my $800 for my normal time, and then for the 20 extra hours, I make $15 per hour on those 20. So I get that extra pay as well. So the way we do overtime is typically time and a half. Some companies do double time. So you would make $20 per hour.
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah, this is where, and Sundays as well, a lot of the time are double time for people.
In Germany, there's also laws for night shifts and holiday shifts or whatever.
We have shift premiums. And you'll hear some of the blue collar guys say like, man, a minimum work week is 70 hours. Because when you're paid a good hourly wage and you make 1.5 or 2 times your pay, like really that money starts accruing when you get that overtime, when you work over those 40 hours, because you're essentially, doubling your pay.
It's incentivized.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically if I get paid out, it's just added to my pay. But usually like people will say, hey, like I said, it's taxed. It gets just taxed like my normal pay too. And if I just take the free time, it's not taxed. So
right, and you get paid normal anyway.
Yeah.
So why would you ever take the pay?
I would just take my free time and get my normal pay.
The thing you mentioned before with working with an American team is really funny because as an American being in Germany, and I still obviously talk with American colleagues and stuff, you see people taking 3-week trips to South America or, to the US or Asia. And we're like, how does anything get done? You have this extremely valuable person, even some of the leaders in a company, they take off for 2 or 3 weeks and they're untouchable. Vacation's sacred.
Yeah.
Whereas us, it's like, I'm on vacation, but you have my phone number.
Yeah.
But I'm monitoring my emails. I'm on vacation, but you can always reach me on Microsoft Teams. There's like this intrusive nature around what being a good employee looks like in an American culture, which is like, at most you take a week off. People don't take more than a week. Sometimes you hear someone takes 2 weeks because they bought a house and they have to like move and they're moving across the country or whatever. But it's unheard of for people to take more than 5 days.
It's a law in Germany that you have to take 2 weeks like together in a year.
Really?
Yeah.
That's like considered a full mental reset.
I was not amused with my last job because I really like doing like the bridge days or like couple days here and there to have a longer weekend or stuff like that. Like, hey, you have to take 2 weeks, 2 consecutive weeks. And I was like, oh man.
Yeah, why? That's also, I would say, common in America is people won't go on a vacation the whole year. And then once October rolls around, all of a sudden they won't be there every Friday, you know, October, November, December, however the math works out. They'll just start taking long weekends because that's what they like to do. For some people, it's also common to have like a second place. People have cabins or small houses somewhere in a rural area, and they'll take long weekends so they can spend more time up there at their second home. Oftentimes it's not like a second full house, you know, it's a 2-bedroom cabin or something. So I don't want to give the impression that everyone's got 2 houses.
Häusle.
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 Schaffe, Häuslebauer.
Schaffe, Häuslebauer. And do you think in general Americans work harder than Germans, or what's your perception on that?
I've had a few interesting discussions, and I won't give my perspective necessarily on that front, but I will say that you hear about Europeans thinking Americans are lazy. Everything's convenience based. Everything is drive through, fast food. Everything's processed, lasts a long time. And it is true. Americans love their convenience. The question is, why do Americans love convenience? It's oftentimes because they don't have a lot of time to cook full meals or spend time with their families. So we've gotten creative to find ways to maximize our free time. And when I have conversations with Europeans now, after they interface directly with Americans, they're like, they're here at 7 a.m. and they leave at 6 p.m. They work so much longer than anyone. And I've also found it's common for people not to want to take their over hours in Europe. So they'll work, I don't know, 8 to 6 or 8 to 5, and then they'll accrue 4 or 5 hours throughout the week, and then they take a half day on Friday.
That's common. Like, that's really common.
No problem. As an American, you just eat that. You know, there is no half day. There is no, oh, I'm at my 40 hours, I'm going home. A lot of places have like an 8-hour daily minimum as well that you have to meet before you accrue overtime. One of my jobs, it was after 8 hours, you accrue overtime. And then one of my jobs was after 80, you accrue overtime for the 2 weeks. So it depends on the company you work for. But yeah, it's like people do say, actually, Americans are a lot harder working than I ever imagined. And there's a reason we have our convenience culture. I'm not saying no one's lazy. We're definitely lazy in our own regard. But we also, I think, on average, work like a lot more hours. You can argue effectiveness.
I was going to ask that, but that's also probably dependent on company, people, whatever.
Exactly. You can argue, yeah, they work 60 hours a week, but they're not effective. That's not for me to decide.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. So I won't put a value statement on it, but based on the conversations I've had and the cultural differences, like you guys are accustomed to saying my hours or my work week is 40 hours. After I hit that, I'm going home. There's nothing wrong with that. We're accustomed to saying I need to work 5 days a week and I need to work 8 to 10 hours a day. And that's conservative. A lot of people are 10 plus. As a salaried employee, a lot of people's weekly hours are 45. They say you're paid based on a 45-hour work week, 9 hours a day.
Legal maximum in Germany for work hours, I think, is 48 a week. Which could be a 6-day week, which is why I was like with the 6-day week earlier. It's legally still a thing. It's just not common.
Yeah. And you could also, I think, argue effectiveness. Like, hey, our people are rested. They come in, they get time off. That when they're at work, they're able to work and do a good job because they're in a mentally good state. They're able to perform because they've been able to rest and spend time with their family. And then I guess one perspective could be, well, they work 60 hours a week, so they must be able to get work done, right? If you're there for that long. So I guess it depends on your perspective and in how you value outcomes. What do you think about like career growth in Germany? Is it common to aspire to be a CEO or make a ton of money? Or is it more common to like pursue a passion? Hey, I'm going to engineering school. I want to be a really good engineer. What do you think is the...
I think that's depending on the individual for sure. But especially from where I'm from, the south of Germany, it's rather easy to earn good money real like quickly.
Without quote unquote like responsibility, right?
Yeah, because like we have some companies that are in like, what would you call it, a union? And that union is fairly large down here. It's like for mechanical companies of any sort, basically, IG Metall. And that forces the company to pay good money to the employees, basically.
So they have like a minimum base for anyone.
There's like ranges, basically. And for example, if they say like, hey, we're looking for a person with these skills, that's the range. And the ranges are usually fairly good, let's say it like this. So for example, when I started with, or like when I finished my bachelor's, people from my studies would enter between, let's say, 45 and 62 a year.
Okay.
I was somewhere in the middle field. While, for example, those companies I've talked about with IG Metall start at the upper end, above 60 for someone who just finished their bachelor's, which is insanely good for a young person, like beginning of their 20s.
Yeah, 21, 22 years old.
Yeah.
And I guess with the ability to have the work-life balance and things kind of being set the way they are, do you think people strive for a bunch more? Because like you said, the taxes start jumping. It's like, does your take home really change? If I'm really pushing the pedal to the metal, high performer, I'm good at what I do, I have aspirations. What's the difference once, let's say I'm at 80,000 as an engineer, or I'm at 95,000 as a manager? Is the take home difference worth the responsibility difference?
Also, I would say it's probably depending on the person, and some people just really want to lead, which is also fair. From my experience, it's just hard to advance in a company.
Okay.
So I don't know. I've spent 3 years at a company before, and I really liked that company, but I just felt like it was hard to go places there.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I had the same job for 3 years. I'm not like, I wasn't super high performing or whatever, but also I didn't see any perspective really at that company. I was like, all right, what am I working for then?
Yeah.
So your options are either you really, really high perform, or you just switch the company if you want to advance your career.
And so you go from like a entry level to maybe a mid-level to a senior level, basically by job hopping or getting promotions.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's like I switched at the time. Like I said, I like the team and the stuff, but like I just didn't see myself going anywhere in that company. So I switched. I got a better pay and more experience.
What do the check-ins look like? Is there like a yearly review to say, here were the things we wanted you to do, here were the things you did, here's how we get you to the next level or challenge you more? Or
also really company specific.
Yeah.
Like from my experience, what I had so far is not really perspective, really. They were like, okay, is there any training you want to receive? Or that's how you performed, we like this, and you could work on that, for example. But there's never been any talk about managing of any sort.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely interesting. There's, again, a lot of these conversations are so person, state, company dependent that it's hard to make sweeping statements about anything. But I'll give you a quick example. When I was 18, I worked at a car dealership, and I was brought in for what they paid at the time. And I had a supervisor who made, I don't know, $7 more an hour than I did. And we got hired at the same time. Basically, supervisor left, new supervisor came in. I came in under the new supervisor, and he just didn't perform very well. And they kicked him out. And within 2.5 months, I was the supervisor already because I'd shown I did the job well. I was efficient. I was quick. I had certain capabilities. And this isn't me flaunting or saying I'm good. It's just me saying, like, it's not as dependent on tenure as it is on ability to motivate people to get the job done and perform. And I would say that's true across every job I've had so far in my life. Is if you perform, you are incentivized almost immediately. In America, it's like, okay, this person's really good. What can I do to keep you here?
I don't feel like that's happening, but maybe I've just not performed that well.
Well, this isn't only my personal experience, it's friends and other things. But this also, I think, plays into the job hopping culture and the protections in place.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have a lot of protections in place to protect a company and an employee.
Yeah.
I think every year you sign like a 12-month contract or a 6-month contract, and you have to give a 3 months notice before you quit, or, you know, something along these lines where they have to give you notice before they let you go. Whereas I work in an at-will state in Wisconsin where if I'm not performing, Wednesday morning, they can come in and say, hey, we don't want you in here anymore. And that's the end of the story.
Then you're out.
I'm out. Or technically, I could walk in Wednesday morning and say, I don't want to work for you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So there's almost like this competition incentive for the company to continue to feed you benefits and you to continue to supply for the company, because at any point, one party could decide, you know, this isn't the right fit. And so it always keeps people on their toes and continuing to have to elevate what they're willing to offer in terms of vacation, in terms of pay, or in terms of promotability.
So for Germany, that's really interesting. Usually we have a really high workers' protection. It's nearly impossible to fire an employee because you want to fire an employee. Basically, whenever we start a contract, which you want to be unlimited, more or less.
Yeah.
Some people limit them for 12 months, 24 months or something. But like, let's say you get an unlimited contract, which is the goal. The 6 first months usually are probation period, which means, and this is the only way where you can get rid of an employee without any like reason. It can be like, all right, I don't want to work with you anymore. And you then get like a 2 weeks notice.
Yeah.
And after 6 months, it gets really hard because if I want to leave, and at some company I've worked before, it was like 3 months until the end of the quarter, which meant if I wanted to leave the company in January, the quarter ends March. So 3 months after the end of the quarter, which means my official last day was last day of June.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was legally obliged to work until then, and the company was legally obliged to keep me there until then. That's like a longer period. I think standard is like 3 months. Some also have 1 month.
Sure.
But like it's also for the company, they need to find a replacement for you. And if you, like, I don't know, if you put in your resignation, you have a new job already.
I guess same scenario, like if it were to be December, your last day would be the end of March, right? It just depends on when you put in your notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, for example, when I quit that job, I put in my notice the last day of the quarter. So I only have more or less 3 months to go. But that being said, as an employee, you can basically quit whenever you want and then have your whatever contract amount of months left. But as a company, it's, like I said, nearly impossible to fire an employee.
This is interesting for me because I think you know most of my opinions on kind of competition in the free market. And what am I looking for as an employee looking for a job? Am I looking for a place that's hiring simply? Am I looking for pay? Because if I take a step back and think about it, like your healthcare is government subsidized, or you know, you pay taxes for it. and your retirement also is taken out of your taxes. It's like
No, retirement is from my pay, but yeah.
I'm sorry, but are you privately investing, or is it goes into a pool and then when you retire, you get a set amount based on your income or something?
Yeah, our retirement system is not working well.
My understanding is it goes into a pool.
How it works is we have a generational contract, is what it's called.
Okay.
So the retirement fund I pay from my salary goes into a huge pot, and that pot is used to pay today's retirement for people that are retired.
Like our Social Security.
Yeah, so my money is gone, basically. And by now we got that many seniors that I think the government puts in 300 billion a year to cover retirement. So I am not sure if I will ever receive any retirement.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at, because in America, one of the big considerations I'm making is how good is the healthcare? Because a lot of times, not in every job, they say, here are our healthcare plans. You have to pay us $100 every time you get paid, and then your doctor's visits are free, your surgeries are free, or you have to pay up to $2,000 a year, and then your maximum out of pocket is reached. Or they do things like retirement matching. So I pay into Social Security, which is like part of my taxes, but then I can do a different tax deduction after for my personal retirement. So basically, I get a company and I get a match. So a company might say, we'll offer to match up to 10% of your salary. So if I contribute, let's say $100 every time I get paid, they can match that $100. So total between my company and myself, I'm putting in $200 every time I'm paid into my retirement account. And that's a private account just for me. And then I can decide what investments are made, stocks or bonds, if I want to be aggressive or conservative, and build throughout my whole career. There are some companies that don't offer a retirement package. Additionally, vacation. What kind of vacation do I get? Do you offer sick days? Those things that we talked about, where as an employee, that's a huge consideration of mine. And like, almost, I would say, the determining factor of where I'm going to work. And I think when all of that's kind of decided elsewhere, what do you guys look for?
I would say it's not as big as your benefits mentioned. I think the first factor will always be pay. Then we have some programs that cover like gyms or something.
Yeah, I've seen something like WellPass.
WellPass is very German specific, I think, where it's basically there's a couple thousand studios that are participating, from public swimming pools to gyms to yoga classes.
I think I saw like bicycle rentals or something included as well.
Stand-up paddling, you name it, whatever. That's sometimes in there in the package. So the entire cost of that is X amount of money a month, and your employer pays, for example, half of it, and you only pay the rest. And programs like this are only accessible with employment. So if your employer offers that, that's great. For example, I could go, like, for me, it's great because to every city I go to, I can go into a gym. Even if my home gym does not have a location at city, I could just go to whatever gym.
Yeah, so you could just say, hey, you guys sent me to Bremen for a week for work.
Yeah.
I want to work out. Do you guys take WellPass? And
yeah, exactly. Like, I have a map and I can check out studios. But that's like a small benefit, and a lot of companies have that by now. Some companies offer like bike rentals or something, like to get to work. Some offer like free food in the cafeteria, free coffee is sometimes listed. Some offer free water.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Some offer like fruit basket at work. I'm like,
yeah, I just, I think the competition aspect is interesting, not better or worse, but in America, there's so many factors that go into choosing a job. I would say to a certain level, pay is very, very important. I think if you're a young professional, you aren't super interested in retirement, you have a lot of debt, you're healthy, you're going to look like where can I get the most first? But I
Mhm.
think as you kind of progress in your career, you're more concerned about, okay, can I retain vacation time?
Mhm.
What are the retirement package options? What, you know, what are they offering me in terms of, I guess, I don't know, different healthcare options and things like that that
Mhm.
really become important. There's obviously company culture, what your job is. You know,
Mhm.
some people don't want to work for defense companies.
Mhm.
That's one thing. But I feel like when it's just limited to pay, I would just be like, okay, I'm going to throw a stone outside of my window and whatever building it hits, I'm
Mhm.
going to apply for a job
Mm.
because everything's the same. You know, what's closest to me, what's convenient
Yeah.
if everything else is subsidized.
Like I said before, the companies with the unions, because they pay a lot better.
Mhm.
Some companies, ooh, that's a nice benefit. Some companies offer 35 hours per week instead of 40
That's
hours.
right. I've heard about that.
Yes, so your workday is not 8 hours, but 7 hours a week. That's an actual nice benefit. That is usually also offered at the union companies because the unions fought for it.
Hmm.
So from what I've noticed, the union companies here get a lot of applications because they pay that well and you got less hours and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And then there's the other companies. And then it just depends on the market if there's employees that need a job or whatever. Just depends on the current market.
Would you say that job hopping is common or career progression is common? Like, I think of all the opportunities I've been given as an American,
Mm-hmm.
at least in my experience, maybe not
Mm-hmm.
everyone, but you know, I'll sit down with my boss and they'll be like, okay, let's get you to the next level. Here's what we've defined as good for an entry level position. Here's what someone who we would hire as
Mm-hmm.
a second level, third level employee of this role would have to do. It looks like you're deficient in these two categories that we look for in a level 3 person. Do you think we could spend this year really honing in those capabilities and then you could fit a level 3 personality and we can get you to that role? Like that's kind of how it works. That's a very supportive company culture. Not all companies are like
Yeah, I
that.
was going to say, like, I
But
wasn't offered the perspective before, but
mhm,
like I said, maybe it's just the company, maybe it's my personal performance,
yeah,
whatever. Maybe my boss didn't see that for me, but never know. Job hopping is like a thing, and some people warn from it, like don't do it,
yeah.
don't switch jobs every 1 or 2 years. But
Yeah. But if you switch every 1 or 2 years, you have to know 6 months after you start if you're going to quit. Like, I
yeah,
feel like you can't even know it by that time.
yeah, for me, like I don't know, like I said, I didn't have the opportunity at my first company where I was employed,
Yeah.
so I switched.
That's fair. I mean, that part of that is just
Yeah.
looking for the right fit for you. And
Purely financially looking at it, job hopping is worth it.
mhm,
Usually you can just advance your pay like that, but meh, depends.
yeah, for me, this isn't even, I don't know if it's an American take. I think actually job hopping is more common in America because you can get in and out so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But loyalty is, in my opinion, one of the most important things in many aspects of life. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, complacency is the devil of life, in my opinion. If you just sit there and let the days pass you by and like, yeah, my life's fine. It's one thing to be at peace and be happy. It's another thing to just let life pass you by. And I think that's a personal decision.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you think Europeans or you know, it might be broad or Germans in general define success? Is it based off of having a certain amount of dollars? Is it based off of having a house and a car? Or is it based off of how much time people were able to spend with their family throughout their life?
We had the Schaffe Häusle bauen before, right?
Yeah.
That's again Schwäbisch, like southern Germany dialect.
Hmm.
And it means like, yeah, work, and build your house.
Hmm.
I think that's a dream for many people down here. Build a house, have your family, go to work. If you can afford it, leave your wife at home. I feel like that's the standard dream of living down here. I don't want to offend anybody, but
Yeah.
at least that's for sure what my parents' generations wanted. And honestly, I want my little house too.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a portion of the American dream too, right?
Mhm.
You get the white picket fence and the dog and the kids
Mhm.
and you live in a suburb somewhere. And I would say for us, it's It's hard. Again, everyone's different, but I would say it's mostly like having financial freedom.
Yeah, have like one or two nice, okay cars, have your house,
Yeah.
at best no debt, enable your kids to go to whatever school they want. I think that's pretty much the classic German dream.
Yeah, I would say that's a dream for sure. Out of debt, 2 decent cars and a house seems a little aggressive for before you're 60, but maybe. I guess it depends on your financial well-being and everything. But yeah, that's interesting because do you guys actually, this is a different question. Do you guys have a minimum amount of vacation time you must take? I know people in America who are trying to get ahead in their careers won't take vacation days. They'll have 3 weeks allowed and they'll take 0 because they're trying to get the edge to show that they're more dedicated.
Don't think anyone would do that here.
That's why I'm interested in how you define success.
I'm not even sure that's legal.
Yeah.
Not sure about the legal aspects of this, but my employer right now forces me to take all of my vacation days until the end of the year, or they will be nullified, basically. So it's, for me, not even an option to not take them.
We have a use it or lose it in a lot of
Yeah.
cases as well. So some companies, I know if you have 3 weeks, you use none. The next week the next year you'll have 6. But most companies, in my experience, are you take your vacation or it resets.
Oh, I don't think anyone would not take their vacation.
There are people that do that.
Would you?
There are scenarios like I have in the past, actually, not taken all of my vacation. When I was an hourly employee and I was getting 50 to 60 hours a week, yeah, you could take some time off and rest, and that's nice. But if I can only take a week maximum at a time and not truly feel away, I would rather earn that time and a half. You know, for me, it's like, man, I'm working 60 hours a week right now. Why would I take vacation? I'm only going to get 40 hours of pay for taking off. You know, that's just a mindset thing, though.
Oh.
Again, it's a difference in culture. It's a difference in normal or how people act. But I think that's a very real mindset in the U.S. Vacation time only pays me 40 hours. I'm working 60. I get time and a half for 20 hours.
That's no.
I rely on that time and a half to pay my bills.
No, that's not happening. I think I still haven't finished on how my employer can actually fire me when he wants to fire me.
Oh, yeah. How does that work?
Like I said, it's very hard. So either I do something illegal at work, or, for example, of course, if I need my car for working and I lose my license or something, that would work. But in an office job, if you really don't screw up, if you don't harass anybody, if you're just working like you're supposed to, it's really hard to be fired by your employer, because they might even have to go in front of court and prove that you're working less than
Like
assumed.
underperforming or
Yeah.
hours wise, or
No, like underperforming. If you don't show up, that's another thing. But let's say you show up every day, you give your employer like an okay like quality of work, little to no way to get rid of you.
We've had it before where in different companies I've worked for, where someone was just not a good fit. They're like, hey, we don't like your energy. They're a good employee.
You're
they're,
out.
They're good at what they do, but they're like, you know, we think your way of working and your way of interacting with our other team members is toxic. So we're going to let you go. Like, you don't need proof. To be fair, if you have an anchor, you have a team of 6 good people, and you have someone who is also good, but is demeaning or isn't good to work with, and it kind of damages the productivity. The overall productivity can stoop down when you add somebody. So they make decisions like that where it's like, you're great at what you do, but we just don't think you're a good fit.
Oh boy, that's bad.
Yeah.
You want to get into our daily sayings?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go. I think you might have heard that one before, but if I say that's not the yellow from the egg or of the egg.
I can't remember if we did this one or not. Is it like you're missing the point?
No.
Then I don't know.
Das Gelbe vom Ei is basically like, it's not really good. So I don't know. Some people directly like to translate it and be like, My English is not the yellow from the egg.
So it's not the best.
Yeah, it's not the best.
Okay. I guess these days egg whites are popular anyway, so depends on who you ask. But yeah, no, I would have thought like, oh, you missed the point because it's like the centerpiece or
it's yellow
the nucleus or something. Yeah, that makes sense.
Alrighty. Want to wrap it up?
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us on today's episode of Untranslatable. Hopefully you've got some insight on different cultures and working perspectives. And we'd also love to hear what people think, because I think Spain is going to have a different perspective than Germany, or, you know, someone in North Dakota or New York, like the stockbrokers and investment bankers, they work like 120 hours a week, like something ridiculous. People sleep at work. Or in China, even, I guess people stay at their workplace for 6 months at a time, and then they take like 2 months at home with their family, but they sleep, eat, and work in the same place. So I'm interested to see what people have to say and what
any
different
preferences,
cultures.
if German or American, and yeah.
Great. Thanks.